Hello, everybody. How are you? Let me get my phone set up over here because I'm not convinced that I will be able to see comments. There we are. Perfect. I hope I can see comments over here. How are you? Happy Saturday. Happy weekend. How was your first week of November? Mine was a little wacky, and we found out why in Thursday night group. We have a participant in there that does all the astrology, all the moons and the energy and all the things. And I would love to say that I know all about it, and I do not. I have to look things up every single time. And so yeah, but I think there's a lot of things energetically going on. So if you're feeling I know we just had a really big, strong full moon. So that's a little bit of it. And then there's other things going on. And apparently we're in retrograde. Y'all, the energy has been a lot. So if you are here, please say hello in the comments. I love chatting with you guys as I go through. But yeah, so here we are. I'm going to hop right into it today because I'm failing miserably, but I'm trying every week to keep it around 15 minutes. And it has not been 15 minutes. So I'm going to jump right in. If you are here, I'd love to see you. Let me see if I can see any of the comments. If you are here and you comment, I hope that it pops up. Anyway, I'm going to get going. So this month we were talking about gratitude. And you guys know I focus a lot on gratitude. I really do believe that that is sort of a grounding, centering focus of living a really positive and confident life. And it starts with being thankful and grateful. So I love this month and our theme this month, rooted in gratitude, because of that. So last week we talked about moving from being on autopilot to appreciation, and we talked about slowing down a little bit to truly notice the things that we can be grateful and thankful for. And if you did that last week, please jot in the comments. I have noticed this year more than the past few years how gorgeous the trees are here. It's late in turning colors. Trees are usually bare by now. Where I am in Kentucky, it is late this year, probably the latest that we've ever had. The trees start turning and falling. My husband's actually outside right now, working on the leaves. So if you hear a blower, it's probably him. But so stopping to take just a brief second to be grateful for it all, whatever it is, the hot shower, the meal, the job, and this has been a challenge for me this week, and I will be the first to admit it has been a difficult week at my full-time job. If you've been following for a while, you know that this is Balance Worthy is my up and coming business. I'll put it out there. I'll manifest that. I've created this business to help women heal. I needed somebody like me a few years ago, and I went through the training to do this. And so ultimately, this is what I would love to do full time, but unfortunately, I'm not quite there yet. But it will happen. It will happen. But at my full time job, it's been a trying week, and I have had to really intentionally focus on the fact that I am thankful and grateful for even the most difficult problems, people, situations, because it's teaching me something. That is one thing that I'm having to lean into, that it is teaching me something, even though it's difficult, and I need to be grateful and thankful for that. So I am grateful and thankful for that, as hard as it may be. So that's what we talked about last week, is finding the small things, taking that just a few seconds to be thankful for it and grateful for it. Even our golden retriever, We've had to rotate chairs in our house due to my husband's shoulder surgery, and our golden has been spending a lot more time in my husband's lap than mine, and he's my dog, so I'm getting a little bitter about it. But I just know he loves that chair, and that's fine. But even this week, the few times that he has crawled into my lap on the couch, I have just been extra grateful for. So it can be anything that we can be grateful for. So this week I want to talk about the difference between toxic positivity and like being truly rooted and grounded in gratitude. And it's one of those things where I almost feel like it's gaslighting yourself when you do this. An example is only focus on the good and don't feel bad. That's not, and I just said that right in that example. You can be both simultaneously. I can be thankful and still feel when it's hard, right? And that goes back to my example that I just had. You can be grateful for a supportive friend and exhausted by what life is asking of you right now. You know, I feel like so many times, speaking of my golden, he's under my feet doing something. He's tearing up a toy. Quit that, please. I feel like so many times, and I'm a black and white kind of gal, right? And so, hey Teresa, good to see you. I'm a rule follower, and it's either or. So but there's a lot of places in my life where I have stopped saying the word but and started using the word and. Okay, so I can be grateful and sad. I can be grateful and angry. I can be grateful and happy. I can be grateful and still want something else. So those things are not mutually exclusive. They can be simultaneous, right? So one thing that we sort of do sometimes is say, well, we shouldn't feel this way because, and last week I talked about having, survivor's guilt over the tornado, being in the middle of the tornado. And it's sort of like that. Like, you shouldn't feel guilty that you survived. I'm grateful that I survived and nothing happened. And it's also okay to be sad and frustrated and all the other things too. And it's like I tell my clients, anytime they come to see me, whether it's one-on-one or in group, I never want anyone to forget about the things that they have been through. I never want to deny their experiences and their emotions, because their experiences and their emotions are real. And I never want anybody to forget that, because that makes us, right? And so, sorry guys, I'm gonna have to pause my he's now squeaking his toy. I never want anyone to feel like I'm ignoring or want them to ignore the things that happen to you, because those are the things that make you you. Those are the things that make you you, whether that is stronger, wiser, whatever it is, happier. It makes you you. And so I never want anybody to deny that. However, I also want everyone to acknowledge, if something's holding you back, what are those emotions? So there are things in our lives that maybe you've never thought about how you could spin it to be grateful for it, right? So for example, my dad had cancer. We went through all of it, radiation, chemo. And as hard as it was, I'm also grateful for that time with him, right? So two things can be mutually exclusive. So I want you to think this week, is there anywhere, and it doesn't have to be as huge as someone someone's illness. But is there anything in your life that maybe you could be grateful for, should be grateful for, but you just really couldn't feel it? That you've just sort of had this one track or two track mind. It's either good or, I mean, it's not separate, right? It can be both. Just like my example about work, it can be difficult. It can be difficult, and I can still be grateful for it. So feeling those feelings, acknowledging that, and how do you move on, right? Sort of the I'm struggling, but I can still see the light, right? And I hope that you have a friend in your circle that is your half full cup, half cup full, you know what I'm saying, in your life. The one that, you go to that says, I hear you and I feel you. And can we look at it maybe this way, right? No judgment. There's no judgment. Just to help you see it a different way. My husband is the person that helps me see things in a different way. He's not my half glass full person. Let me just be clear. I love him. And he sees things way differently than I do, but he's not the half, the glass half full. It's not that. He's not that. But he helps me see a different perspective. And I hope in your circle of people, whether it be partner or best friend or whatever, that you have somebody in your group that can have you talk to them, no judgment, and still say, I hear you, I feel you. Let's be grateful for this thing you're going through, whatever it is. And it could be great. It could be a fantastic thing, right? So you can say things to get started with this practice. You can say things with, I'm grateful for, even though, right? So I know we are knocking on the holiday door. And so maybe it is, I'm grateful for my home, even though it may feel chaotic right now. Or I'm grateful for my growth, even though it feels uncomfortable right now. That is fine. You're doing both. You are saying, I'm grateful, and you were acknowledging the truth, right? You're acknowledging the truth. Teresa says the loss of Buster was that way. You helped me see that. Buster taught me. Oh, listen, fur kids. It's a different level, y'all. Different level of loss right there. So, I hear you, and I appreciate that. So when you're going through this week, if there's something especially trying that you're going through, let's start with last week we talked about finding the little things we can be grateful for. This week we're talking about what can we be grateful for even though we're going through it, even though it may not be shiny and sparkly and positive, and it could be, right? A chaotic house during the holidays, that's great for some people. People love that. That's not my MO. I like it quiet. It's fine. So if my house was chaotic, I would be having to say that. I am grateful even though my house is chaotic. Both can be true. Both can be true, and that is okay, right? So this week, what are those things that you can sort of switch around? What are things that you can be grateful for even though? I am grateful for blank even though blank. Try that out. Let me know how it feels. Let me know if you do it so you can start getting a little. I really do feel little bitty baby steps. Start habits, and habits move on to bigger and different changes. So think about that this week. Give yourself permission. Give yourself permission to try it out. What could it hurt? What could it hurt? So this month in Embracing Me, We were talking about rewriting things in our brain. So last week we talked about self-limiting beliefs and how to sort of reframe those self-limiting beliefs. And this coming week in group, and if you're new here, on every Thursday night at 7 p.m., we have a group session that includes EFT or tapping, meditation, journaling. We laugh, we sometimes cry, and we all heal. So if you were interested in delving a little bit deeper, especially if you want some extra support during the holidays. I know that holidays are hard. Family can be difficult. Holidays themselves can bring in a lot of emotions. So if you want a little bit extra support through the holidays, come join us. There's no long-term commitment to Thursday nights. But we're talking about this week our negative self-talk. The negative things that pop up their ugly little head, that get to us. And we're going to talk about maybe where they came from and how to reframe them. So if you were interested in that, there is a link up top. I'll also link it on here after we're done. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments here, or you're welcome to send me a direct message. Also, I do have an email list, and if you're not on the email list and want to be, I send out one email a week, sometimes two, depending on what's going on. The first quarter of the first of the year, first quarter is always a big, everybody's trying to do everything the first quarter. And so that there may be twice a week, but I don't do everyday deals. I don't want to read them if they came into my inbox, and I don't want to push them to you guys either. So once a week, maybe twice a week if something's going on, if I'm talking about retreat, or if I'm talking about, some kind of new workshop or program I'm doing. But other than that, once a week. So if you want to get on that, feel free to let me know and I can send you that link. All right, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your weekend. It is gorgeous here right now. It's supposed to rain and turn brutally cold, which I'm not looking forward to. But either way, I hope you have a wonderful weekend. And please let me know if you try some of these things out. I would love to hear what happens. All right. Have a great weekend.